Ohio State might have the most dangerous roster in college football, but that doesn't mean Buckeye fans should be comfortable. Because the same team that looks built for a national title run also has a few problems that can turn a dream season into a disaster fast. And the scary part? We might find out in week 2. Welcome back to Gridiron Intel, where we break down the recruiting battles, portal moves, roster questions, and power shifts shaping college football. Today we're talking Ohio State. Not because the Buckeyes are in trouble, but because when a program has this much talent, this much pressure, and this kind of schedule, the concern is not whether Ohio State is good. The concern is whether good is enough. Let's start with the obvious. Ohio State is loaded. ESPN's spring update had Ohio State at number 1 in its way too early 2026 rankings and pointed to quarterback Julian Sayin and running back Bo Jackson and superstar receiver Jeremiah Smith as major reasons the Buckeyes should be back in the national championship conversation. That is the standard in Columbus. Not good season, not nice bowl game, not 9 wins and feel proud. Ohio State is measured by playoff wins, Michigan results, Big Ten titles, and national championships. And that is exactly why the concern here is real. Because when expectations are that high, the flaws do not have to be huge. They just have to show up at the wrong time. The first major warning sign is the schedule. Ohio State opens with Ball State on September 5th, then immediately goes on the road to Texas on September 12th. That Texas game is set for 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC, and Texas announced ESPN's College Game Day will be in Austin for the matchup. That's not a normal early season tune-up. That is a national spotlight game. That is a hostile road environment. That is a playoff level atmosphere before Ohio State has even a chance to fully settle into the season. And here's why that matters. If Ohio State wins, the Buckeyes probably grab control of the national conversation. But if they lose, the questions start immediately. Is the offensive line good enough? Is the defense ready? Is the new offensive structure clicking? Can Ryan Day survive another high-pressure narrative storm? That is a lot to put on a team in week 2. The biggest concern for Ohio State is not at quarterback. It's not receiver. It's not running back. It's the offensive line. ESPN's spring outlook said Ohio State's offense should be difficult to stop, especially if its offensive line improves. That if is doing a lot of work. 11 Warriors also wrote earlier this offseason that Ohio State's entire offensive line could return in 2026, but noted the group had to improve after faltering in the final 2 games of 2025. That is the concern. Ohio State has explosive talent everywhere. But an explosive talent does not matter if the quarterback is rushed. The run game gets stuffed, and the offense becomes one-dimensional against elite defenses. In the Big Ten, you can hide a lot of things against weaker teams. But against Texas, against Oregon, against Michigan, against playoff teams, the offensive line is not just a position group. It is the season. Spring football also gave Ohio State some things to monitor. Buckeye Huddle reported that projecting offensive starting linemen Austin Searfeld and Phillip Daniels had procedures that kept them out of spring practice, while other notable players also missed time, including top running backs and young skill talent. That doesn't mean panic. Spring injuries happen. Veterans get held out. Coaches are cautious. But when the offensive line is already the biggest question, missed reps matter. Chemistry matters. Timing matters. Communication matters. And when your second game is at Texas, under the lights, you don't want to be figuring out protection calls in real time. The next concern is the defense. Ohio State has talent. That's never the issue. But talent still has to become production. 11 Warriors projected Ohio State's 2026 defense after noting the Buckeyes were replacing 8 starters on defense for the second year in a row. That is a massive test. Even at a place like Ohio State, replacing that much defensive talent experience is not automatic. The Buckeyes may have future NFL players waiting. They may have elite recruits ready. They may have transfers who can help immediately. But communication, tackling, leverage, coverage handoffs, third down execution, those things are built through reps. And if there are breakdowns early, Texas has the kind of stage where those mistakes get exposed fast. There's also the offensive transition. ESPN reported in January that Ohio State was finalizing a deal to make former Pittsburgh play caller Arthur Smith its offensive coordinator after Brian Hartline became the head coach at South Florida. That's a major move. Smith brings NFL experience. He brings play calling experience. He brings a different lens to the offense. But any new offensive voice comes with an adjustment period. How fast does the system click? How comfortable is Julian saying? How does the run game evolve? How does Jeremiah Smith get moved around? How quickly does the offensive line adapt? Ohio State does not have time for a slow rollout. The Buckeyes need answers immediately. And it's not just Texas. Ohio State's 2026 schedule includes road games at Iowa, Indiana, USC, and Nebraska, plus home games against Oregon and Michigan. That is the schedule with traps everywhere. At Iowa can get ugly. At USC is a travel challenge. Oregon is a playoff caliber measuring stick. Michigan is Michigan. And when you're Ohio State, every opponent gets up for you. Every stadium wants the upset. Every mistake becomes a headline. That's the cost of being one of the biggest brands in the world. So should Ohio State be concerned? Yes, but not because the Buckeyes are weak. They should be concerned because they are talented enough to win it all and talented enough to make every flaw feel unacceptable. The concern is the offensive line. The concern is defensive experience. The concern is a new offensive voice. The concern is a week 2 trip to Texas that could immediately change the tone of the season. And the concern is the pressure, because Ohio State is not chasing respect. Ohio State is chasing trophies. So here's the bottom line. Ohio State has the roster to win a national championship, but the Buckeyes also have enough questions to make this season dangerous. If the offensive line improves, the defense reloads quickly, and the new offense clicks, Ohio State could be terrifying. But if those issues show up early in Austin, the 2026 season could get uncomfortable fast. Subscribe to Gridiron Intel for daily college football, recruiting, transfer portal, and NFL draft coverage, and drop a comment below. Is Ohio State the team to beat, or are the Buckeyes walking into a trap?